Polish agriculture is in crisis. Food prices have plummeted so much that the cost of harvesting crops is often higher than the price at which they'll sell. As a result, some farmers are opting not to bother harvesting at all, leaving crops to rot in the fields. This is all due to the flooding of Polish and other European markets with large amounts of agricultural produce from countries like Ukraine, whose production costs are much lower than the European Union because of laxer quality regulations and cheaper labour. On top of that, the EU has recently struck a deal with Mercosur, a trade bloc of South American countries where cheap South American produce is to be imported into the European Union. Without intervention by the Polish government, this could sound the death knell for Polish agriculture. Over a ton of peppers and over 500 people willing to support Polish farmers.
Cel akcji jest taki, żeby z jednej strony pomóc temu rolnikowi, który papryka gnije, to jest z województwa lubelskiego, jak również, proszę bardzo, smacznego.
Residents of Bilgore and the Bilgore Powiat have been coming to the office of opposition politician Maciej Romanowski since early morning. There they found peppers that the politician, together with local entrepreneurs, had purchased from a local farmer. It was not profitable for the farmer from the Lublin region to harvest vegetables from his field this year.
Takie ceny jak tu mają rolnicy, to jest tragedia.
Pochodzę z wsi, to wiem, to jak praca na roli.
The purchase price of peppers is around 30 to 40 groszy per kilogram. At the same time, their price in the stores reaches up to 10 zloty.
Akcja przybiła nasze...
The campaign exceeded our wildest expectations. This is the idea of MP Romanowski, who, despite being abroad, is working hard here. He donated funds along with several local entrepreneurs, and over 1.2 tons of peppers arrived at the office today. Anyone could come to get peppers. The vegetables were distributed free of charge. Thanks to campaigns like this, food is not wasted. For the first time since 1939, farmers' produce is rotting in the fields. Peppers are rotting, tomatoes are rotting, corn is rotting, and the same fate awaits grain. It's difficult. However, many residents left money for the peppers, which went to charity. The peppers left unharvested are not an isolated incident. The prices of vegetables, fruit and grain at purchasing centres have fallen dramatically. Farmers sell wheat for 700 zloty per tonne and potatoes for 10 grosz per kilogram. I bought seed potatoes this year. I paid 1,200 zloty for half a tonne. I dug up half of the potatoes. I didn't even recoup half of that price. A year ago at this time, a kilogram of potatoes cost 1 zloty 20. Farmers are wringing their hands. It wasn't worth it for me to pay for the tractor to continue digging. We have to get through this somehow. I don't know what to do next in the spring. Farmers and growers suspect price fixing. We cannot ignore the situation that is affecting farmers today. Financial support should be provided and products should be collected. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Stefan Krajewski offers farmers preferential working capital loans.
W najbliższych dniach mam nadzieję, że będzie zgoda Komisji Europejskiej na uruchomienie dodatkowych pieniędzy, co pozwoli uruchomić kolejne kredyty.
Farmers need immediate help. However, Minister Krajewski is hiding behind bureaucracy.
Na jakiekolwiek dopłaty.
Any subsidies or intervention purchases require the consent of the European Commission. As far as intervention purchases are concerned, there are specific products for which we can carry out intervention purchases, for which we can pay. But unfortunately, the European Commission has not changed these prices. They are not regulated. They were prices set in 2007 to 2008, and today they do not meet the needs of farmers. This is why the Minister of Agriculture has requested that the prices be adjusted to reflect reality.
Po raz kolejny oni pokazują, że nie potrafią.
Once again, they are showing that they are unable to respond to real challenges. It wasn't some big surprise that vegetables were grown this year. Experts say that in Poland, policy is aimed at reducing the number of farmers.
Rozpoczął się proces wypychania
The process of pushing local farmers and agricultural producers out of the market has begun. It does not concern peppers or tomatoes specifically. It concerns everyone, because they are also taking on, for example, milk production. Farmers are not giving up. Near the town of Krompiel in West Pomerania, farmers blocked National Road number 10, demanding a halt to the influx of cheap food from both the east and from Germany. If we don't mobilize and start taking action, the farmers here won't be able to do anything on their own. The poor situation in agriculture is not just a problem for farmers, it is also a problem for consumers. Soon, the Polish market will also be flooded with cheap goods from South America. Then the prices of agricultural products and meat will fall even further. The agreement with Mercosur is a death sentence for Polish and European agriculture. Donald Tusk's government and its representatives, including the gentleman from the Polish People's Party who govern this ministry, loudly proclaim how much they are against it. But in reality, they are doing nothing to protect Polish farmers from this fate. The implementation of this agreement and the introduction of free trade will, in fact, mean huge losses for our farmers. Many of them, it will mean the end of their businesses. So I'll do that again. The implementation of this agreement and the introduction of free trade will, in fact, mean huge losses for our farmers. For many of them, it will mean the end of their business, because they will not be able to compete with agriculture in South America. The agreement with South American countries may particularly affect poultry, sugar and beef. This coalition needs to be built within the European Union, and Minister Krajewski is doing nothing in this regard. European leaders are not vetoing the agreement with Mercosur trade bloc, because such trade agreements could be a lifeline for Western European economies devastated by years of left-wing economic policy. Polish industry is also in decline. Production has been falling for the third month in a row, and exports have recorded their biggest drop in 2 years. The closure of the largest energy companies is on the horizon. But that's not all. Polish farmers, weighed down by EU bureaucracy, taxes and restrictions, simply cannot compete with Ukrainian oligarchs who are not subject to EU regulation. This is a textbook example of unfair competition, in which the Polish side is set up to lose from the outset. The Council of the European Union has agreed to reduce or eliminate customs duties on some Ukrainian agricultural and food products and to increase import quotas. One would like to say that Putin's youthful idiots in Europe today, and I say this as a member of the European Parliament, are pursuing a suicidal, idiotic and thoroughly short-sighted strategy through their policies, not only in relation to Polish agriculture, but also European agriculture. The decision means that the Polish market will soon be flooded with cheaper and lower quality food from Ukraine. Dairy products, fresh fruit and vegetables, meat and meat products. The European Union has accepted Ukraine into its sphere, which can take advantage of all the trade opportunities, which is the main benefit of EU membership, without having to meet any real membership criteria. All at the expense of Polish farmers. Minister Stefan Krajewski announced that on October the 16th, he will meet representatives of all agricultural organizations in Warsaw. No more initiatives to support Donald Tusk's government for agriculture are visible on the horizon. Two years of hell are over. 738 days of separation, uncertainty and fear. 20 hostages who are still alive were handed over to Red Cross workers in 2 groups this morning. Several of them are in a critical condition. They were held in underground tunnels in inhumane conditions.
It's not only to be far from him. It's to don't know what will be with him. Every day is a dangerous day. They can kill him every day. Yeah. You're afraid about him all the time, night and day.
Hamas abducted the hostages on the 7th of October 2023 during an attack on military bases and kibbutzim adjacent to the Gaza Strip. 1,200 people were killed in the attacks, and the militants abducted 251, including women and children and even infants. Until the very end, it was unclear whether Hamas would comply with the terms of the peace agreement. All night long, thousands of people gathered in Host Square, where relatives of the abducted Israelis had been staging rallies for 2 years demanding their release, waited for this most important news.
I feel very emotional, very happy, because the hostage is coming back after 2 years. And you see all the atmosphere here, we are waiting from the hostage. And
finally, in the morning, Hamas began transferring the hostages, first in militants' cars, then in Red Cross vehicles, which took them to territory controlled by the Israeli army. From there, they were transported by helicopter and bus to hospitals. At the same time, Israel began releasing Palestinian detainees from prisons. Among nearly 2,000 people, there were 250 serving life sentences in Israel. I am very happy. It is indescribable. I am looking for my family. I want to contact them. I was sentenced to life imprisonment. I have already served 20 years. During the first prisoner exchange in Tel Aviv, Air Force One landed with the President of the United States on board. Donald Trump is welcomed in Israel as a national hero. No one here, regardless of their political views, has any doubt that without the involvement of the American president, this truce would not have been possible.
We welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world. A proposal that brings all our hostages home. A proposal that ends the war by achieving all our objectives. A proposal that opens the door to an historic expansion of peace in our region and beyond our region.
Donald Trump received a standing ovation in the Israeli parliament. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, an American leader was invited to the Knesset. The Israeli prime minister submitted a request to award the US president the highest state honor, which has never been awarded to a foreigner.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
Both the US president and the Israeli prime minister emphasized today that this is the beginning of a lasting peace in the Middle East. However, the road to it will be very difficult. Tel Aviv and Gaza are the next points in the plan that will require significant concessions. Despite this, most people today believe that it can be achieved.
It's very important for us, and I personally hope we can build something better for the future, for all the people in the region. I hope we have a partner in this.
Today's release of hostages and prisoners was a test for both sides of the conflict. This first step launched a diplomatic offensive. In Egypt, leaders from around the world, led by the President of the United States and the President of the Palestinian Authority, will discuss the future scenario for Palestine, mainly its reconstruction and security guarantees.
We owe that to Israelis and Palestinians to make sure that we build on today, move forward. We, the United Kingdom, stand ready to play our full part. In particular, we stand ready in relation to monitoring the ceasefire and decommissioning Hamas capability and weaponry. And that's drawing on our experience in Northern Ireland.
This is the point of the peace plan that analysts are most concerned about, the disarmament of Hamas militants and the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip. Israel has announced that if this is refused, it will resolve the issue by other means.
At least 19 people were killed in a powerful explosion that destroyed an ammunition factory in the U.S. state of Tennessee. Parts of the buildings were thrown almost a kilometer away, and the shockwave could be felt at distances as large as 25 kilometers. Comparing photos of the site of the tragedy before and after the explosion, a terrifying picture emerges. There is practically no trace of the factory left. Emergency services are working at the site, but so far, no one knows what happened. According to preliminary information, the factory was operating normally. No one reported any malfunctions or any disturbing incidents.
That where there was a full functioning facility, there's virtually nothing. That this magnitude of the blast was felt 20 and 30 miles away. There's indication from the professionals on the ground that hundreds of miles away, there were seismic recordings of this blast. It was a terrific.
The families of 19 victims have been notified and asked for DNA samples for identification. Investigators are methodically working to clear the area and collect evidence.
The second set of the process of identifying remains. And so the first part was getting standards from family members. And so that we'll be able to do some comparisons with DNA. We're using the newest technology, rapid DNA, here on site. And so as remains are brought to us, we will be testing those to do matches so that we're able to identify individuals and provide those answers to the families.
More unexploded ordnance continues to be located and safely detonated, and police are warning residents.
As far as the investigation, I never want to put words in ATF's mouth, but again, it's them being on a government shutdown. I can tell you from the folks that I've talked to, it don't matter. I really think that they would be here on their own time if they had to be because of who we're working for and why we're working and why we're here.
The representative of the authorities stated that the work at the scene could take weeks or even months.
We are in day 2 of the National Response Team being on the ground. They are doing their walkthroughs right now. And then they will begin to process the scene. Once they have left, whether it's weeks or months, we do have more work to do on the back end, which is the laboratory work, the origin and cause reports. We want to deliver a methodical and complete report to the community.
This isn't the first accident to occur in this factory. In 2014, as a result of an explosion, 1 person died and 4 were wounded. Accurate Energetic Systems develops, manufactures, and stores explosives for the military, aviation, and commercial demolition companies. The company's Tennessee headquarters included 8 manufacturing buildings and a quality control laboratory.